last performer for this evening and a first-time performer. Please welcome to the stage Mohammed.
Hello. Hi. I knew I was going to come last, so God has a funny way of making things happen. But I'm just going to give a brief background to this poem. But first, I know you're all looking at me thinking this guy looks absolutely ridiculous right now. And the reason for that is two reasons, actually. One, it's bloody cold outside. And two, I've actually been in these clothes for 2 days now. The reason being, I'm not homeless, just wait. The reason being is I've actually slept at my friend's house last night, and this poem is about that. I've been wanting to, Sarah's been telling me to come and do a poem for the first slam. I told her I would do it, and I didn't end up doing it. Second slam, I told her the same thing, didn't end up doing it. Third, same thing happened. And the fourth, the same thing happened, except I wrote it last night, so fingers crossed. So it begins, just as it always has, like an episode of Friends that promises to excite both the endearing heart and the not-so-bright. The usual characters come to mind. Joey was unsurprisingly hungry, and with local restaurants spooking to mind. And Chandler, well, Chandler's sarcasm began to creep through the echoes of our voices as we discussed the possibility of a global zombie apocalypse, or women ruling the world. Or Mace's gut-wrenching trombone of a voice. Through verbal cotton candy we chat till the silence erupts in a choir our voices sat. The platform for an elaborate plot set in stone, filled to the brim with anti-jokes that penetrate the lungs and fill the souls with joyous melodies. A simple phone call will suffice to trigger the inner boy in all of us. But oh my brothers, this is no ordinary phone call. With his masculine voice he proclaims, with his wondrous tone he begins to tame the one question that I so eagerly anticipate. And it goes something like this. What are you doing? But it doesn't stop there. Remember the days when you strolled into your first English class, all fragile and cute, a shy little dove with endless potential, gel-clogged hair, 2190 represent, ambitious enough to crack the first joke that proclaimed you king of all comedy kings. Remember those days? Well, our English teachers, funnily enough, as much as we hope to deny it, planted the first seed on our journey to the summit of Mount Poetry. A simple term called repetition. A concept they argued we used so often but denied we ever knew to hide the fragility of our nurtured youth. A word we used to explain a joke that was as much lost in translation as a duck with no feathers. Repetition was used for this question, my friends, as though to emphasize the eternal nature of its hidden meaning. As though to signal the dawn of a new age with a slight shift in tone and our final abode, resting on the shores of our promised hearts, we drew near. And he said, what are you doing? You see, my brothers, this is no ordinary love story. Forget Romeo and Juliet and all 18 versions of a tale that really had no tale. Romeo never wrote his poem in the heart of Juliet. It was Juliet herself who wrote her poem. She was the author to her own love story. I, my friends, can proudly boast that I have. In fact, the very seed that encapsulates our love for this blossoming joy was born last night, in the harsh cracks to the walls of her heart, hidden beneath the pale white skin, disguised within her cheeky, inviting grin. Her melodious tones gathered the musicians from all corners of the earth in a symphony of delight. Jazz, pop, classic rock, hip-hop, and the occasional delirious karaoke star, a wonderful sight for even the blind. And for this reason, oh my brothers, knocking on the walls of her heart would not suffice, not even to those who thought twice. For the walls of her heart were not there to be plucked, pulled, and plundered as you deem fit. They rather were there to be loved and nurtured in a cradle of joy, as you would for your own. So as I dwelled in imaginative bliss of the wonders that would emerge from your tender kiss, the thought of answering the question with another question seemed quite a delight. So I murmured, "What are you doing?" You see, my brothers, at times in one's life, when you strip away to its bare and exposed core all the distractions and obstacles of our chaotic lives that condemn our vision as that of a blind man and that of a blind man to that of the free, when you strip this outer fabric and look within you, you will discover an endless paradise bursting to begin on its journey in which you are the star. You see, the greatest stories are those whose morals reflect the inner struggle within us. For some, it may be an event, for others, a relationship. But it must be known that whatever path we take and whatever decision we make, the one thing that defines us and the one thing that unites us is the memories we forge and the friendships we develop on this wonderful journey called life. And to quote a famous man by the name of Andrew Ryan, "We all make choices, but in the end, our choices make us. And it are these choices that define you. And it is in these choices that we can identify you. And it is in these choices we can learn to accept ourselves. And it is in these choices we can begin to unite in the search for the truth all day and all night." So the next time your friend calls you and asks you the famous question, "What are you doing?" take a leap of faith, for what lies on the other side could in fact be the answer you've been searching for. Thank you.